fact, you have covered a number of things which I was going to cover, so that makes my job easier. Yeah. So a couple of slides just to set the context, just to show the importance of gas in the CGD sector. First slide, please. Okay, good. All right, so I'll start with India's energy basket. I think this is all known to everybody, but gives a good summary. Still dominated by coal. Coal is 60%, and gas is 7%. So the 6% number that we have been quoting, probably it has increased to 7%, which is a good news. So this is 7% as per last year's data. And when you move to how natural gas is consumed, you will see here that the largest consumers are fertilizer and CGD. Fertilizer is 28% and CGD is 25%, and this significant growth has happened over the past few years. And very soon, in fact, very soon, maybe this year itself, CGD could very well become the largest sector consuming gas in India because fertilizer is not growing and CGD is growing. So that is the importance of the CGD sector in India as far as gas is concerned. Sorry. All right, so we go deep into gas now. Again, the first chart on the left-hand corner will show that while the share of different segments from 27 to 25, and the segment which has increased its share is CGD. Its share has significantly increased, power has gone down. So it again shows the growth which is happening for demand of gas in the CGD segment. The second chart on the right-hand top shows the growth in demand for gas in India. The most interesting part is over the last 3 years, you can see the demand has grown significantly from 165 MMSCMD approximately to roughly 200 MMSCMD. So about 35 MMSCMD has been the growth in the last 3 years, which is almost, I would say, 10 million tons. And that 10 million ton, 80% of that 10 million ton has come from LNG. So first we talked about gas, the growing demand for gas. And now within gas, the demand for LNG has grown disproportionately compared to demand for domestic gas. As you can see, out of 10 million tons growth in the demand for gas over the last 3 years, 80% has been met by LNG and 20% has been met by domestic gas. Now, fortunately, what has happened is the last 3 years, as you can see, the share of domestic gas in CGD has increased. Maybe because some gas has been taken away from fertilizer and given to CGD. CGD has got more HPHT, so government has prioritized allocation of domestic gas to CGD. So in fact, contrary to what we hear that CGD is getting less domestic gas, what this chart shows is that the share of domestic gas has actually been higher in CGD over the last 3 years, while the other sectors have reduced. Now this may be more HPHT, so because it combines HPHT and APM all together, but CGD has got more domestic gas. But will this continue? Maybe not, because as we see, since domestic gas itself is stagnating, but the demand for CGD will continue to grow. So I will summarize this slide by saying that 2 things. One is CGD is the largest consumer of gas in India. CGD has the highest growth potential in India, number 2. So the demand for gas in CGD will continue to grow. And because domestic gas will not be sufficient to meet that demand, there will be more and more LNG required for the CGD segment. So that sets the scene for, okay, now if CGD needs LNG, how do they procure LNG? And we as Shell, we are large sellers of gas in India. We have Hazira terminal, we sell spot, we are trying to sell long term. So we meet customers, and because CGD is the largest segment, we meet a number of customers in this segment. So we often face 3 questions. Our first question is, okay, before I come to the question, I think the bigger question is LNG available? So if you are saying that the demand for gas will grow and more of that demand will come from LNG. Is LNG available or not? Fortunately, yes. We are in a place where what we call as the next wave of LNG. Kaviraji calls it as the next wave of LNG, where we see a lot of new long-term contracts being signed, all because of new supplies expected to come from 28, 29 onwards. So we will see a very large wave of LNG supply coming globally from the US, from Qatar, and there are sellers who are keen to sell long-term LNG from those projects. In fact, Indian buyers have purchased a lot of long-term LNG over the last 2-3 years, totaling to almost 9-10 million tons, and they continue to buy. So there is LNG available. That's the most important thing. Second is the LNG terms which are being discussed in the market is better than the terms that we have traditionally known. So all the legacy contracts, the terms that we know, the current terms that is being discussed is better than that. So quantities available, terms also are better. So how does the industry benefit from this? And that is where things can go wrong. So the first one is, often we are asked that if I have to buy long-term, because the terms are better for long-term, so I'm not talking about spot. So let's also differentiate between spot and long-term. Spot is basically first 3 years, and then long-term starts after 3 years. So the good terms that the industry is getting or people are discussing are for long-term contract, which means you have to sign a contract for supplies which start from 28 or 29 or maybe even 30. So the first question that we are asked is, why should I buy for 28 now? Why now? And that, in my view, is a very lazy kind of response, because as CGD, whatever you invest is for 25 years. So on one hand, when you are investing for 25 years, on the other hand, you don't want to take a decision for the next 3 years, which is very strange. That you are committing capital for 25 years, but then when somebody is offering you long-term gas at a price which you feel is good, but then you don't want to commit to that price because you say it's coming after 3 years. So do I have the mandate? Do I have the incentive to do something which starts 3 years hence? And that, in my view, is a lost opportunity, because markets change. Everything is a function of time. Today, there are suppliers offering LNG at better price because they are under pressure to take FID for their projects. They have set up new projects, they have got supplies, they are under pressure to sell the initial supply, and that's why they are offering good terms. It's like a building, apartment. The first, the first 10%, 15%, 20% will have a different price. So there are suppliers who are willing to do that. But if buyers are not willing to take that opportunity, it will be gone. The second question that we often face is the price right? Why should we be buying at this price? Because they have also heard, like what I am saying, they also heard that a lot of new projects are coming. So maybe the price will be further down. So the price is good. What you're offering me is good, looks good compared to what we see today. But maybe if I wait for 3 years, the price will further crash. We don't have an answer. You may be right. The price may crash. But what if you are wrong? So are you going to base your entire decision based on your view that I think the price is going to crash, so I'll not buy anything, I'll wait for 3 years, and then if after 3 years that is not available, you cannot look back and say, well, I could have purchased gas at that point of time. So it's about taking a balanced view. Yes, you may be right, the price can change, nobody knows. I'm not saying that this is the best price and the price will be higher or lower in the future. But the point is, if you are already buying gas at a particular price, it is affordable. And if you can buy something at similar levels for a longer term, that is a call that you should take. Maybe you will not buy full quantity, you will leave some quantity for the future, but at least you should take that call. The third question that we are faced is, again, what Sanjay ji answered, and he explained it very well, that almost every buyer has the ambition to buy cargoes. But, let me be very frank about this. It is not possible. I think in theory it looks possible that you can have 5, 6, 8 buyers in one cargo. In practice, it is very challenging. So I think the best way still is that you go and buy gas from aggregators, and most aggregators, I can tell you, Shell, have a very transparent pricing mechanism. The price of LNG is known. Gas tariff is almost known, custom duty is known, marketing margin is known. So it's not that there is a big delta between the price of gas that you will buy from an aggregator versus the price of LNG. And people think that if they go and buy LNG, they'll get distressed cargoes. No, it's not. Distressed cargoes are not available. So everybody thinks that they can go and buy distressed cargoes and that's the reason they'll get cheap. No, if distressed cargoes are available, there are bigger players out there to buy those cargoes, and those cargoes are not waiting for players from India to go and buy. So I would summarize saying that this is a very good opportunity for CGD companies to buy long-term gas. It meets with your requirement because your demand is growing. You need long-term stability, which these gas prices can provide. You will have to depend upon LNG because domestic gas will not be sufficient. And this is probably a very good time to buy long-term gas from aggregators in India, we being one of them. Thank you.